Families forced to live in tents. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee because I thought we'd have a look at this article from news.com.au discussing a family of 6 that's been forced to live in a tent due to delays in their house construction project. Now, for someone who's going through renovations as we speak, I can relate to this very well. We were fortunate enough to get a rental just a few doors away from us, so I can walk, to the house where we're staying and to here quite easily. I'll do an update video on our house, guys. The steel should be coming in next week and we'll be lifting it up, but there's been a lot of work that you have to do on these things. And for us, the idea of living in a tent isn't that bad a situation because we've got control over the subbies, or at least we're paying them directly. So if one stuffs us, the other ones hopefully won't. So let's have a look at this. A Melbourne family of 6 living in a tent due to building delays. Probably because of just how long it's taking to get anything these days, any materials. We were so overwhelmed with life that we cancelled Christmas with our extended family. We just couldn't face it while we were so low. This is sounding sad. So Dylan and Tyron are facing their 8th week living under a 7 by 15 metre wide wedding marquee with their 4 kids, a cat, a dog and a pet rabbit. We've been dreaming of acreage and a sustainable home for a decade. Tyron, whose kids age from 5 to 11, told Kids Spot. It was going to be a complete change of life. Being more sustainable, growing our own food, having farm animals, getting back to basics, a slower and more connected lifestyle. The couple from Teensdale in Victoria could never have imagined that 2 years down the track they would be homeless, staring at their incomplete house. Oh boy. I was promised the build was the smooth part. The build is not the smooth part. Tara knew there would be inevitable delays with the pandemic and lockdowns, but they had hoped to be in their new home by the time their daughter started high school in February 2021. The initial contract stage with the building company, Geelong Homes, a subsidiary of Hamlin Homes, took 9 months longer than anticipated, a red flag that Tyron said she regrets dismissing in the early days. We had to ambush an employee in their offices 8 months into the process just to get some answers, Tyron said. Building started March 10th, 2021. That was after 12 months of trying to get through the contract stage. But I was promised the build was the smooth part. Wait, what? 12 months trying to get through the contract. What, to set up the contract? What, a year? What? The build isn't the smooth part. The build is where you discover all of the issues on site. Like literally. A couple of days ago, talking to the Boilermaker here, we've got a steel beam under the a beam under the bathroom, a timber beam, which hasn't been doing anything for 10 years. And we're discussing how we're going to, jerry-rig a piece of steel or make it work with what we've ordered. Because it changes. The build, when you're actually building, that's when you get all the surprises. That's when you need to have a contingency sum. So you got your budget here, and you got a little bit of extra money that you keep aside for when stuff's up. 5%, 10%, even 15%, depending on how of your construction budget, depending on how much renovation work you're probably doing, to be quite honest. Before we even signed up the build, the company said it would take around 3 months in contracts, and it would be a 6-month build. We talked about moving in close to when Lara started high school in February this year because it was important to me that she starts at the new local high school. However, this was far from the case when the build only just commenced a month after they had hoped to move in. We were hopeful, unfortunately. We sat down to a meeting with the company representatives in February 2021, Tyron recalls. I said, I have to be in my house by the time my little ones start prep in February 2022, and they laughed and told us, if we don't have you in by then, something major has gone wrong. Well, it probably has. They have an online portal, so you can keep up to date with the build progress, and the original move-in date was August, then changed to October and November, then December. This is the problem. This is where, under a traditional procurement process, where if you have a project manager or an architect between you and the builder, they're the ones that manage that process. And you could claim liquidated damages from the builder for the delay in getting your house started. You know, the cost of having to live in a tent and everything associated with that. But if the builder's going in trouble, it can only help you so much. We received an email confirming we were on schedule for a pre-Christmas handover, and we were verbally told multiple people on a number of occasions that the house was guaranteed to be done by Christmas. Our rental contract was coming to an end, and trusting the assurances we'd been given, we moved into the tent on the 17th of December. It's been an absolute nightmare. Got no room for privacy. Well, I mean, that's not a bad setup there, that tent, honestly. It's a lot bigger. We were going to, we were thinking we'd just camp out in the tent if we needed to, and just use that little, camping tent. But this is nice. When KidSpot first spoke with Tyrion 2 weeks ago, she was facing her 6th weekend living in a tent with her family, a time which she said has been an absolute nightmare with zero contact from Geelong home since December 17th. We had huge storms on the 7th of January with 60 millimetres of rain and hail in just 1 hour. We used all of our linen to prevent water from flowing into the tent. It was a scary time. We lost the rabbit that day. The kids were devastated, but Chasey took it the hardest. She sat out in the paddock crying all afternoon. I feel so guilty I had ruined Christmas. This is the thing. These poor people are taking this burden on themselves when it's completely their builder. That's what it is. It's stuffed up. But these things can happen. So she said she'd felt like she'd let her kids down by having to live in a tent over Christmas. I mean, it's part of life. You got to learn to deal with it. Good times, hard times. That's part of a family needs to stick through these things. We were so overwhelmed with life that we cancelled Christmas with our extended family. I can understand that. We just couldn't face it while we were so low. I wasn't organised because I was focused on finding us somewhere to live, given we only had a week's notice that we were to be homeless. I felt so guilty I'd ruined the celebration of Christmas for our kids. Tyrion's mental health has also suffered so much that she's had to take time off work. I'm so drained, I'm overwhelmed. I cry at the drop of a hat. I'm exhausted but my mind never turns off, and I actually feel sick to my stomach a lot of the time. I feel guilty for dragging my kids through this. I've taken personal leave from work because I cannot take any more stress on my plate. I don't want to be at the farm anymore. It's just a dark cloud that never leaves. The heat certainly hasn't helped, with the tent adding to the sweltering temperatures on the more scorching days. While chatting with Tyrion, she said it was 37.5 degrees inside the tent, 34 under a tree, and the bare ground was 52 unbearable degrees. We've had so many things go wrong. KidSpot contacted Geelong Homes for comment relating to the delays of Tyrion and Dylan's family home. General Manager Jason Draper responded on behalf of the company saying, "We've met with Dylan and Tyrion today, confirmed a completion date for his house." KidSpot has a copy of 2.5 pages worth of alleged defects compiled by Geelong Homes. We can confirm that the latest deadline of the 2nd of Feb and Friday the 4th of February have not been met. We've had so many things go wrong, from incorrect electricals being installed to non-compliant cladding. It was way too much for them to expect to get done in a matter of days. But if they did, it would have been more work to complete in 1 week than they've done in months. Tyrion and Dylan are tired of fighting. We just want a roof over our heads before the cold weather kicks in. For the sake of their sanity, the couple has come to an arrangement with the company on Friday the 11th of February to waive the remaining work so they can just put the entire nightmare behind them and finally call the place home. But Tyrion says it's best time for this family to heal and fall in love with our home. I mean, do we have any images here? See, they're not showing us any pictures of the house. Let's have a talk about this one, guys. This sounds like a construction project that's just gone wrong, everyone. There's been a whole lot of issues. Some of these builders are getting in trouble. Remember when we were hearing about builders and subbies at risk of going under because just prices, they've signed a contract, but then prices of everything shoots up. Now, they should be able to legitimately pass on fair and reasonable cost increases to their clients, to their buyers. That should happen. Like steel surges, you don't want your builder to go bust because they can't afford to pay for the people to finish your house. That's the thing that happens. You've got to. It's a process that you have to manage. What do you reckon, guys? Here's a question I want to put out to you. Do people still do owner-builder? Does that happen as much anymore? We're not hearing about it that much. I've got an old book, Build Your Own Home, and even as an architect, I'm learning a lot, getting on the tools as often as I do right now, and it's quite satisfying. Has that disappeared from our culture? Rather than getting a builder to do it for you, where people are building it themselves. What about the kit homes? Is that just people who want to go off-grid and are willing to do that, or people that have the experience or confidence to do it? Because if she was managing this process herself rather than the builders, doing her own a builder course, might have been less stressful, or might have been just as stressful, but you'd have a bit more control over it. Maybe they might have appreciated it. What do you reckon? Let me know your thoughts and opinions on that one, guys. Thank you all for watching. If you're a fan of the channel and want to support us, there are a few ways you can. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. Sign up for SelfWealth or Stake. Use our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or AussieBroadband. And you can buy our merch from HeiseSays. Thanks for watching, guys. And I want to point you to this last video I did that we put out earlier today, just about, what one is it? I've forgotten. I forgot. I'll link to a video there, guys, that you can check out. Which one is it? Hang on. Oh, yeah. Call being replaced. Check that one out if you haven't already. I'm worried what's going to happen to our power.